welcome to today's practice. I'm trying something new today with the practice. We are going to try to keep it under half an hour, so I'll be looking at the watch from time to time. And often in the mornings, I draw a tarot card. So we're basing the practice on a tarot card I just drew a moment ago. The card is the King of Fire. It is about inspiration. So that's the theme of our practice. I'm using blocks today. I'm still not doing deep forward bends. Imagine the blocks to the floor extender. If you are not using the blocks, feel free to bend your knees as you bring your hands to blocks or floor. And if the floor is too far away, you can always do hands on your own legs instead. So that's some things to think about. We will start standing near the front of the mat. Hands can come together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back, just connecting down into the earth, wiggle the toes a little bit. Inhale, lift all 10 toes up, balance out the weight between the front and the back of your feet, the inner and outer edges of the feet. Then keep lifting up through those arches, spread the toes nice and wide apart, lower the toes back to the earth, feel a lightness through the arches, stack the hips back over the heels, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders, soften or close your eyes, connecting into the support of the earth and coming into your breath. Letting yourself settle into your breath. If you like Ujjayi, feel free to do Ujjayi. But just feeling the breath move through you, feel the breath moving you, and settle. And also come deeply into yourself. Notice how you're feeling. Notice what's going on. Breathe with that. And then think of something that's happened over the last few days that you have found inspirational. Maybe it was a concert online. Maybe you saw flowers blooming. But just find one thing that you found inspirational in the last few days. An act of kindness that you saw. Holding that in your heart, staying with your breath. As you're ready, exhale, release the arms to the sides. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Left hand can grab right wrist. Exhale, leaning over to your left. Inhale, up to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, up to center. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Breathing here. I'm going to adjust where my mat is. And then exhale, release the hands to the sides. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, up to standing. Inhale, Utkatasana, letting the hips shift back, stretching the spine nice and long. Ardha Utkatasana. And then tilting the back of your hips, the tailbone part, a bit more toward the sky. Act like you're going to reach for the ground way forward out in front of you, finding spinal extension. And then exhale, you can fold in gently, letting your back round if that's appropriate for you. If not, keeping the spine extended, hands to legs or blocks can work well for that. Breathing here. Then inhale, lengthen, lifting up high enough to come into spinal extension, back no longer rounding. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen, holding here, lengthen that spine out of the hips. Then press down through your feet, come all the way up. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale and slowly bend your knees as wide apart as the feet. Shoot the hips back. Keep breathing. Keep on shooting the hips back, breathing. And then tilting the back of your hips up towards the sky, reaching long. And then at the very end, you can exhale and fold it. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hold. Press down to your feet, coming all the way up. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. As you do forward folds, keeping the hips moving, spine long until near the end. Exhale, release the hands to the side. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees deeply enough to get the hands to the ground. Remember, blocks are ground extenders. And then walk your feet back. Downward facing dog. Pressing those hips up, back, away from you. You can go ahead and bend the right knee, stretch out to the left leg. And then bending the left knee, stretching out to the right leg. Letting the hips sway a little side to side here. Feeling the back of your legs, noticing what's going on with your hamstrings, your hips, your Achilles tendons. And then exhale, making your way down to all fours, coming to your hands and knees. Taking a moment here, lining the lines of the wrists up with the front edge of the mat. Fingers opening apart from each other and trying to shift the weight towards the front of the hands, almost as though you're going to pick the wrists up. Then inhale and stretch the spine nice and long. Exhale, round the back, look at your navel. Inhale, arch the back, head and tailbone up to the sky. Exhale and round. Inhale and arch. Just connecting this movement to the breath, noticing how your back feels, notice what your shoulders feel, notice how your wrists feel. Notice that you're rounding and arching the back, but your shoulders are moving on and off the back, hips and head tilting under and up. Then with your next inhale, come to a nice long spine and let the shoulders move gently towards each other on the back. A bit of a valley between the shoulder blades. By the way, if flat palms don't work for you, feel free to do fists instead. And then in this position with that nice long spine, curl the toes under, lift the hips up, stretch them back. Downward facing dog again, bending and straightening the legs, moving the hips from side to side. And then keeping that lightness, the sense of lifting up through the wrists, inhale forward to a plank pose, shoulders over the wrists. Keep your hips high, core engaged. Exhale, feel the shoulder blades moving towards each other on the back here. And then with your shoulders on the back, inhale, lift up and back, downward facing dog. Breathe. Exhale, forward into a plank pose. You can lower the knees, point the toes here. Again, keep your core engaged. And then here, inhale, slide your hips forward a little bit, shoulders back, only as much as feels good for your low back. Exhale, hips back towards your feet. Inhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Exhale, hips back towards your feet. Inhale, hips forward, shoulders back. Go ahead, bend the elbow, lower all the way down to your belly. Connect your hips into the earth. Engage your core, feeling the low ribs hugging in, and feel the shoulders gently moving towards each other on the back. Pressing down strongly through those hips, knees face down, lift the right leg up, stretch the right leg back for the wall behind you, lower the right leg down, left hip stays on the ground, but the left leg lifts, stretches back, and then lowers down. From here, with the hips rooting, go ahead, bring the arms by the sides, palms can be face up or down, and then keeping those hips rooting, shoulders gently moving toward each other, curling up through the chest. If you want to, you can experiment. See what it feels like to lift your feet up, stretch long through those feet, and then see what it feels like to lower the feet down. Try to keep the hips pressing down, still stretching long through the legs. Breathe. And then exhale, lower all the way down, rocking your hips a little side to side. And make your way back into a child's pose. Feet can come together, knees can be a bit apart, hips towards your feet, head towards the ground, but they don't have to be all the way down, or they could if that works for your body. Breathe. Feel the breath moving through you. And then inhale, coming up to all fours. Exhale, arm bones in the shoulder socket. Inhale, right leg lifts up back behind you. Exhale, right knee in toward the nose. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, knee in toward the nose. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step the right foot forward. So if it doesn't come all the way forward, you just grab your foot and wiggle foot the rest of the way forward. We're going to step the foot outside our hands. Right toes can turn a little bit to the right. Right knee on top of the ankle. Left knee, if you want to move it back, you can. If you want more padding, you can always roll mat up underneath. So that's always an option. Inhale, stretch your spine long out of your hips. So feel the outer hip moving back, spine lengthening. Feel free to stay here. Feel free to walk your hands a bit further in front of the shoulders. Feel free to play around, moving your hands around, but keeping that right knee pressing gently to the right. Breathe. And then bring the hands back underneath your shoulders. Step the right foot back, all fours. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, left knee in toward the nose. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, knee in toward the nose. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, stepping the left foot forward outside the hands. Left knee close to near on top of the ankle, pointing towards second or third toe. Right knee, you can slide it in for less of a stretch, back further for more of a stretch. Inhale, lengthen the spine out of the hips. Feel your hips pretty level. So if you feel like you're leaning or twisting to the side, maybe try to turn those hips down a bit more. And then from here, you can move around. You can walk the hands even further forward. Breathe. You can walk your hands over to the right. Nice full deep breaths. And then when you're ready, step the left foot back. Inhale, stretch your spine long. Exhale with the arm bones in the shoulder socket. Lift the knees up, downward facing dog. Keep your hips up nice and high, spine long. So if your back feels like it's rounding, bend your knees, stretch the spine nice and long. And then with your hips high, you can walk the feet forward towards the hands. Or step or jump or get there, however works for you. Or even walk the hands back towards the feet. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Connect from the hips down into the earth. Feel the breath flowing through you and notice how you feel. Take a moment, revisit whatever inspired you earlier during practice. And then exhale, release your hands. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale, lower the arms to the side. Inhale, Utkatasana, shift your weight into your right foot. You can always bring your hands to your knees or with the hands together in front of the heart with control, left foot goes back. Then lower the hands to the knee. Take a moment, right knee right on top of the ankle, pointing towards second or third toe. Hips level, inhale, stretch your spine long out of the hips. Exhale, lower the left hand to the ground or to a block. With that nice long spine, turn your chest to the right. And if you would like, a right hand lifts up towards the sky. Now, notice my right shoulder blade here. And notice I'm moving my right shoulder blade onto my back as opposed to letting the right shoulder blade pop forward. So here you might need to lower the right hand a little bit. Move that shoulder blade on the back, left shoulder on the back too, and then reaching that hand up towards the sky. Breathe. And then exhale, lower the right hand to the right knee. Press strongly into that knee. Left hand lifts up. Press strongly into that right foot. Step the left foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart. Shoulders together on the back. Connect down into the earth. Exhale, release. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, shift the weight into the left foot. With control, right foot goes back. Left knee right on top of the ankle. Hips level. Spine extending. And then right hand can lower down, block or floor. Turn your chest to the left, and then if you want to, left hand lifts. But again, shoulders gently moving towards each other on the back here as you breathe. And then exhale, left hand down to the left leg. Press strongly into that foot. Right hand lifts up. Press strongly down. Step the right foot forward. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Connect into the earth. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale, and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold, bend the knees deeply, make your way back, downward facing dog. And then from downward facing dog, inhale forward into a plank pose, shoulders over the wrist. You might have to wiggle your feet and your hands wider apart. Try to keep your hands and feet that wide apart. Lift back up into a downward facing dog. Inhale forward into a plank pose. Exhale, feel the shoulders on the back. And then here, lower the knees, point your toes. Inhale, hips slide forward, shoulders back. But if you want to, as you hold here, you can press down to the feet and lift the hips up, up dog. Then exhale, lower the knees back down and come into a child's pose. Breathe. Come forward onto your belly. Gently rock your hips from side to side. And then connecting those hips into the earth, being supported by the earth. Core engaged, legs stretching long. Press down through the hips, float your hands up, curl the upper back up if that works for your body. If not, stay low. Shoulders gently moving towards each other on the back. And then lower the hands down. Act like you're going to drag the hands back. Get some space in the low back. And then from here, moving slowly, hips staying rooted. Only lifting up as much as feels good for your low back with the shoulders gently engaged on the back. And then pressing those hips down, expanding laterally from the middle of your spine out side to side. And trying to line your head and neck up as the legs stretch long. Breathing here, cobra. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, up to all fours. Exhale, back to a downward facing dog. Stretch the spine out long here, pressing the hips up away from the hands. Feel free to be on all fours instead, or from downward facing dog. Inhale, the right leg lifts up high to the sky. Slide the shoulders forward over the wrists and step the right foot forward towards the hands. You might have to grab, wiggle, scoot the foot again. Pressing down into that foot, right knee right on top of the ankle. Inhale, float your fingers up. Exhale, lower them back down. Inhale, float the fingers up. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, float the fingers up. Holding here, lengthening the spine out of the hips, leaning still a bit forward, noticing how your hips and low back feel. With that spine nice and long, you're going to slowly come up higher, which means you might need to bend the back knee some to keep the space in the low back. You also can play with straightening the front leg to keep the space in the low back. But then you'll play around, see what works for you, how bent or how straight legs. And then when you're more upright position, but remember, you don't have to be completely upright. You can stay leaning forward. So finding that spot, and if you want to here, bring the hands up by the ears. Breathing here, pressing down into the feet, hugging muscularly into your hips, and then extending, expanding your spine up, out. Breathe. And then exhale, lower the hands back down. Step the right foot back, downward facing dog. Nice long spine. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, left foot forward towards the hands, connecting into something bigger than you, connecting into the earth, and using that to draw into yourself, to feed yourself. So connecting into the earth, drawing into your hips, and then inhale, moving, lifting up. Exhale, lowering down, playing, exploring. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up, hold. Notice what this feels like. And then slowly, being aware of yourself, your body, play with how it feels to come up higher. And then decide where works for your body. And then in that place, if you want to, you can start to really expand up and out, lengthening through the spine, growing in a place that works for your body. Breathe. And then exhale, lower the hands down, press strongly into that left foot, step the right foot forward. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, long spine, arms come wide, reach all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Connect from the hips down into the earth. And then go ahead here, open your legs wide to the side. And then once your legs are nice and wide apart, line the feet up with each other. Left toes can either face forward or turn towards the right toes a little bit. Right toes can turn all the way out. And then take a moment here. Even in this position, the top of the leg bone is back over the heel a little bit more instead of letting the hips pop or jump forward. And that just gives you some space. The legs rooting back puts the hips in a nice space. And then you draw the low ribs in and lengthen the low back out of the hips. From here, track the right knee towards second or third toe. Bend the right knee. Right elbow to the right leg, Parsvakonasana. Gently moving both shoulders on the back. Feel free to stay here. Or if the floor is convenient for you or you do have blocks, you can lower the hands to the floor or the blocks. And then from here, shoulders gently rolling towards each other on the back. Inhale if it works for your shoulder. Swing the left arm up by the ear. Exhale, left arm back by your hip. Inhale, left arm by the ear. Exhale, left arm back by the hip. Inhale, left arm by the ear. Holding here, connecting into the earth. And again, finding that expansion because you're supported, because you're held, because something is feeding you. Maybe whatever inspired you at the beginning of class, maybe that's what's feeding you and letting you expand and grow. Then keeping your legs in this general position, press down to the earth, rising up to the torso, looking over those right fingers, warrior two. And go ahead, release, soften the left knee. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out. Thighs root back, core engage. Left knee tracks towards second or third toe, bending that knee. Left elbow to the left leg. Shoulders embracing the back of your heart. Spine lengthening. And then again, feel free to lower the hand to something back behind you. When you're here, inhale, right arm up by the ear. Exhale, arm by the hip. And if your shoulder doesn't like that range of motion, you could just move it to where it works for you. Stop. And then exhale, bring it back by your hip. Inhale, right arm by the ear. Holding, lengthening, breathing, connecting, feeling, exploring. Let this practice work for you. And then press down to your feet, rising up, looking over those left fingers. Breathe. Letting the hands release, soften through the legs, turn all 10 toes to face forward, knees a little soft, hands to your hips, lengthen the spine. Keep the spine long and feel your hips move with the knees bent. And again, the hips will start to move back, and then the back of your hips, the tailbone will tilt up to the sky a little bit here. Spine still lengthening. Now, if it works for your low back, you can gently round here. Or if you're like me and you're backing off of things some, you can keep the spine more extended, but just feel that hip pivot. Elbows and shoulders can move towards each other. Hands can interlace behind the back. Hands can stay on the hips, or you can slowly start to stretch the arms off the back. Now, if this is really easy for you to stretch your arms off the back, I invite you to think about moving your elbows away from each other. So bending the elbows a little bit, pulling them away from each other, and creating a little bit more space. Breathe. And then press down to your feet. Nice long spine all the way up to standing. Release the hands. Do some shoulder rolls. And then with your knees soft, heel toe, the feet in towards each other. Turn to the front of the mat. Shake out the legs. Hands together in front of the heart. Shoulders together on the back. Connect from the hips into the earth. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide, reach a paw. Exhale and fold. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold, bend the knees deeply. Make your way back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward into plank pose. Keep your core engaged, your hips high. So be careful not to let the hips sag. Your knees can be on or off the ground. Then from here, elbows fairly close into the torso, shoulders hugging in towards each other on the back. Exhale, bend the elbows maybe just an inch or two. Inhale, straighten. If you want to bend more deeply, you can, but we're not going to really let the shoulders dip below the elbows. Inhale and bend. Exhale and straighten. And then perhaps do a smaller bend again, just enough so you can move the shoulders towards each other on the back, roll over your feet, flip forward into an up dog, and then exhale, flipping back over those feet, downward facing dog. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. And then open your feet as wide apart as your mat. Bend your knees as wide apart as the feet, and stretch those hips up, back away from you. Squatting in a down dog. This is a great place to squat if squatting with the feet on the ground and more upright is hard for you. And from here, we're going to keep the squat action, walk the hands back, and we are going to move towards an actual squat. So if it works for you, your heels will come down. You might want to turn the knees, the toes out a little bit, and make your way into a squat from here. Now again, if this doesn't work for you though, you can be a little bit forward, weight can be in your hands, and you can play with this position. From here, bakasana, crow pose. So one, you can come back into playing. So you can come back to hands on the ground, kind of playing with the squat position. Or if it works for your body, your hands will stay fairly close to your feet. You all lift the heels up, and you'll work the arms underneath the legs and hug the legs and the arms in towards each other. And then from here, you'll lean some weight forward into the hands and then back into your feet. And you'll just play a bit here. You'll explore. Find a drishti point, a point to look at out in front of you, so not looking so much back at your feet. And then from here, if you want to, hugging in, you can lift one foot up and then the other foot, and maybe both feet lift up. Pressing down through the arms, hugging in, breathe. And then exhale, go ahead, lower down. We're going to play with that one more time. So this time we started with the hips pretty low, but some people like to start with the hips higher, and some people like their shins, the lower legs, more up on their arms. So that's also an option. Some people like to bring the knees directly into the armpits. I like my knees to be a little bit wide. But again, leaning forward, one foot lifts, other foot lifts, hug the arms in, breathe, and then come down when you're ready. And then once you're done playing with that, child's pose. Come up to sit. Right leg forward out in front of you. Right knee and toe up to the sky. Left leg hugging that in. Sit up nice and tall and then twisting to the left. So bringing the left hand back behind you, turning to the left. If you'd like, right arm can cross over. If your back rounds here, just lean back a little bit more. Breathing here if you just need more space. You can also, if you prefer, twist away from the bent knee. So that's also an option. And then go ahead and open this left knee to the left. Sitting up nice and tall, getting length in the spine, and making sure your hips can pivot. So if neither of those things are working for you, you can always grab a pillow and sit on a pillow to elevate the hips a little bit, or you can bend the right knee. And then tilting the hips a little forward, grab the right leg and stretch your spine nice and long here. Breathe. If you are rounding your back today, you could just gently let the back round. Again, I'm not so much rounding my back right now. Breathe. And I'll come back up, second side, left leg forward, right knee bends. Sit up nice and tall, left knee toes up towards the ceiling, right hand back behind you, twisting. Pressing the right hip down, feeling the spine lift up out of the hips. Breathe here. And then go ahead, unwind. Open the right knee to the right. Lift your spine out of the hips. So be careful the hips tucking under, bending the left knee enough that you can come into extension and tilt your hips with the left knee and toes up towards the sky. then tilting forward, grab someplace comfortable, spine lengthening. Feel free to stay in spinal extension or if a gentle forward fold rounding, we are already forward folding. If a gentle rounding to the back feels okay, you can do that. Breathe. And go ahead, come back up, both legs forward, knees and toes up to the sky. Lengthen the spine, again, bending the knees enough that the hips pivot. Tilting the hips forward, grabbing someplace comfortable. Lengthen, and if you want to let the back round, you can. Breathe. And then inhale, come back up. Slide your hips forward. Make sure there's plenty of mat back behind you. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. And if it works for you, exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, come onto your back. If that doesn't work for you, come onto your back in a way that does. Hugging the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking. And then you can let go of the knees and draw circles on the ceiling in one direction. And then draw circles on the ceiling with the knees in the other direction. Coming back to center, lowering the feet down, feet mat distance width apart, stretching the arms back for the wall behind you if this works for your shoulders. And then from here, exhale, both knees over to the left. Inhale to center, exhale to the right. Inhale to center, exhale to the left. Here, if you want to, with the knees nice and wide apart, you can take the left foot on top of the right knee. This is a gentle twist that widens out the right side of the low back, but it also does a thigh stretch through that right leg too. Breathe. And then go ahead, unwind, coming back to center. Exhale the knees over to the left, and if you would like, right foot on top of the left knee. Breathe. And then up to center. Hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball. If you want to open the knees wider apart, stretch your spine long, and then flipping your feet up to the ceiling, holding on to lower legs or feet or back of knees, rocking from side to side, pulling down with your arms, pressing up with the legs. Coming back to center, full body stretch, stretch the arms up above the head, legs along the ground, lengthen your tailbone up, and then Shavasana, arms by the sides, palms facing up, legs can be wider apart than hips. If leg straight bothers your low back, bend knees instead. But just coming to a place where you feel comfortable and that you can relax. And in this place, doing just that. Soften or close your eyes. And with every exhale, let your muscles just melt into the earth. Take one more moment. Visualize whatever it is that inspired you at the beginning of class. And just hold on for a moment to that sense of inspiration. Let your bones feel heavy. Let your skin feel soft. And just let yourself release. And for today in Shavasana, if you would like, if your thoughts start to wander and you'd prefer to just bring them back to whatever inspired you, you can just bring your thoughts back to whatever inspired you. And let yourself rest. Let yourself be held by inspiration. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. And just whenever you're done, moving slowly out of this, coming to sitting softly for a moment, no hurries. And then you can make your way to the rest of